Human warships can teleport. General Yaris spoke the astonishing words aloud, his voice trembling with disbelief as he stared at the tactical display aboard the Deltan flagship. Moments ago, the human vessels had vanished from their positions, only to rematerialize behind the Deltan fleet in perfect firing positions. The shock of this unforeseen development reverberated through the command bridge, leaving Yaris and his subordinates stunned. As the human ships unleashed a devastating barrage, Deltan warships crumpled under the onslaught, their hulls rupturing and spilling debris into the void. Yaris demanded answers, but none were forthcoming. Deltan intelligence had failed to anticipate this game-changing technology, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. The implications crashed over Yaris like a tidal wave. If the humans had truly mastered teleportation, it would grant them an unassailable advantage in the war. The very survival of the Deltan race hung in the balance. As the battle raged on, Yaris ordered a desperate regroup, pulling his battered forces back to defend the flagship. Light years away, on Earth, Frank Williams watched the live feeds with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. The rogue scientist had toiled for years in secret to perfect his teleportation technology, and now it was being deployed with devastating effect. Yet even as he savored the fruits of his labor, Frank knew he had unleashed forces that could reshape the galaxy in ways he could scarcely imagine. Unknown to both Yaris and Frank, a web of intrigue was already tightening around the teleportation breakthrough. A human spy within the Deltan ranks witnessed the events firsthand, torn between his loyalties and the knowledge that his precarious position could be the key to unraveling the mystery, or his undoing. As news of the stunning human victory spread, it reignited ancient animosities and threatened the fragile peace. On Earth, jubilant celebrations erupted, hailing the teleporting warships as a symbol of human ingenuity. But in the corridors of alien power, grim resolve took hold. The Deltan leadership understood that their long-held dominance was under siege. The galaxy stood on the precipice of a new era, one in which old certainties had been swept away and the future was shrouded in uncertainty. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. For better or worse, nothing would ever be the same again. 5 years earlier, deep beneath the scorching sands of the Nevada desert, Frank Williams toiled in his secret underground laboratory. The air hummed with the whir of machines and the crackle of electricity as he hunched over his workbench, his eyes bloodshot from countless sleepless nights. On the table before him lay a tangle of wires, circuit boards, and strange pulsing crystals, the fruits of his obsessive research into teleportation. Frank had long been consumed by the idea of instantaneous travel, convinced that the ability to move matter across vast distances in the blink of an eye held the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. He had pored over ancient texts and fringe theories, seeking any glimmer of insight into the nature of spacetime. And now, after months of grueling experimentation and countless failures, he had finally made a breakthrough. By generating a localized distortion in the fabric of reality, Frank had created a wormhole-like tunnel that allowed matter to be instantly transported between 2 points. The implications were staggering. With this technology, the very concept of distance would become meaningless. But even as elation surged through him, Frank felt a creeping sense of unease. He knew that his invention could be world-changing or world-ending, depending on who controlled it. And so he had retreated into secrecy, cutting ties with colleagues and funders, determined to perfect the technology before revealing it to anyone. In the present day, light years away, General Yaris of the Deltan forces strode into the High Council chamber, his face grim. The room was in an uproar, with council members shouting over each other in a cacophony of fear and anger. Yaris pounded his fist on the table, silencing the room. "We face a grave threat," he declared, his voice echoing off the chamber walls. "The humans have developed a technology that could spell the end of Deltan supremacy." He activated a holographic display, replaying the shocking footage of human ships teleporting in battle. The council members watched in stunned silence as Deltan warships crumpled under the onslaught, powerless against the humans' newfound advantage. As the footage ended, the room erupted into chaos once more. Some members called for an immediate counterattack, while others advocated caution in the face of this unknown technology. Amidst the din, a shadowy figure watched from the back of the chamber. Zasha, a member of the enigmatic Korvax race, observed the proceedings with keen interest. The Korvax were known for their ancient wisdom and advanced technology, but they had long remained neutral in the conflicts between younger races. As Zasha listened to the Delton deliberations, a plan began to take shape in her mind, one that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy forever. She slipped out of the chamber unnoticed, her intentions as yet unknown. Back on Earth, in a nondescript London apartment, Marcus Wright went about his daily routine. To his neighbors, he was just another unremarkable office worker. But behind closed doors, Marcus lived a double life. For years, he had been a deep cover agent for human intelligence, embedded within the highest echelons of Delton society. Now, as news of the teleporting ships reached him through encrypted channels, Marcus knew his true loyalties might soon be put to the ultimate test. He began making preparations, securing safe houses and escape routes, ready to risk everything to uncover the truth behind this new technology and ensure humanity's survival in the face of an increasingly volatile galactic power struggle. As Delton operatives closed in on Frank Williams's location and galactic powers plotted their next moves, the stage was set for a confrontation that could determine the fate of both humans and Deltons alike. And at the center of it all lay the secret of teleportation, a secret that some would kill to possess and others would die to protect. The acrid smell of burning electronics filled the air as Frank Williams frantically typed commands into his central computer. Sirens blared throughout the underground facility, warning of the imminent Delton attack. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he initiated the data transfer protocol, sending terabytes of research to a secure off-site server. Come on, he muttered, eyes fixed on the progress bar inching across the screen. A thunderous explosion rocked the complex. Frank stumbled, catching himself on the edge of his workstation. The sounds of gunfire and energy weapons echoed through the corridors, growing closer by the second. As the last of the data finished transferring, Frank activated the facility's self-destruct sequence. He snatched up a small device from his desk, a prototype personal teleporter, and punched in coordinates. The lab door burst open. Delton operatives in sleek combat suits poured into the room, weapons raised. "Don't move, human!" one shouted. Frank met the alien's gaze for a split second before pressing the teleporter's activation button. The world around him dissolved into a swirl of light and energy. When his vision cleared, he found himself in a nondescript safe house hundreds of miles away, leaving behind only the sound of alarms and the impending destruction of his life's work. Meanwhile, in the gleaming spires of the Delton capital, Marcus Wright's heart pounded as he sprinted through winding corridors. Alarms blared, and the shouts of security forces echoed behind him. His cover blown, years of careful infiltration had unraveled in an instant. He rounded a corner, coming face to face with two Delton guards. Without hesitation, Marcus lashed out with a series of swift, brutal strikes. The guards crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Breathing heavily, Marcus ducked into an alcove and pulled out a secure communicator. He keyed in an emergency code, praying his handler would answer. "This is Nighthawk," he whispered urgently. "My cover's compromised, initiating emergency extraction. But there's something else. We have a mole in human high command. I repeat, we have a Delton mole in our ranks." The communicator crackled with static before a voice responded, "Understood, Nighthawk. Get to the extraction point. We'll handle the rest." Marcus pocketed the device and steeled himself for the desperate flight ahead. Light years away, aboard the Delton flagship, General Yaris paced the bridge, his face a mask of barely suppressed fury. The failed operation to capture Williams and his technology had cost them dearly. "Status report on the human military installation," he barked. A subordinate officer responded, "Our forces are in position, General, awaiting your command to begin the assault." Yaris clenched his fists. This was a gamble, but one he had to take. "Commence the attack. Draw out Williams and that accursed teleportation technology." As the order was relayed, space erupted into chaos. Delton warships converged on the human outpost, energy weapons blazing. Human vessels winked in and out of existence, using their teleportation drives to outmaneuver the Deltan fleet. Amidst the fray, a damaged human warship listed helplessly, its teleportation drive offline. A Deltan boarding party seized the opportunity, breaching the hull and fighting their way to the engine room. As the battle raged on, neither side was aware of the ancient secret that would soon reshape the conflict. In a dimly lit chamber filled with holographic displays and arcane technology, Zasha of the Korvax pored over newly uncovered records. Her eyes widened as she deciphered the text before her. "The keystone," she murmured, tracing her finger along the intricate diagrams. After all this time, Zasha's mind raced with the implications. With the humans and Deltans locked in conflict, now was the perfect opportunity to secure this powerful artifact. She began formulating a plan, knowing that the fate of entire civilizations might hinge on her next move. As the galaxy plunged deeper into war, the race for teleportation supremacy had only just begun. The acrid stench of burning metal permeated the air as Frank Williams materialized in his new hidden base. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he surveyed the Stark laboratory, a far cry from his previous facility, but functional nonetheless. He wasted no time, fingers flying across holographic interfaces, to reinitialize his research systems. "We're not out of this yet," he muttered, activating encrypted communication channels to his team. But silence greeted him. Frank's blood ran cold as he realized Dr. Lisa Novak wasn't responding. He pulled up security feeds, watching in horror as Deltan forces swarmed his old lab, dragging away a struggling figure, Lisa. Light years away, aboard the Deltan flagship, General Yaris loomed over a terrified Dr. Novak. "Tell me everything you know about the teleportation drives," he demanded, voice low and menacing. Lisa's persistence crumbled under the alien's piercing gaze. I don't know all the details," she stammered, "but I can give you the base frequency modulations. It might be enough to create interference." Yaris's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Within hours, Deltan scientists were feverishly working to develop crude jamming technology based on Lisa's reluctant revelations. The stars shimmered against the inky blackness of space as the human shipyards of Proxima Centauri bustled with activity. Civilian transports and military vessels alike darted between massive orbital structures, unaware of the gathering storm. General Yaris stood on the bridge of his flagship, surveying the holographic battle plans one final time. "Commence the attack," he ordered, voice cold with dedication. Deltan warships erupted from hyperspace, energy weapons blazing. Human vessels began to blink out of existence, only to reappear elsewhere. But something was wrong. Ships flickered in and out erratically, their teleportation drives struggling against the Deltan jammers. Captain Elena Chen of the UES Dauntless gritted her teeth as her ship rematerialized, alarms blaring. "Helm, what's our status?" she barked. "Teleportation drive is malfunctioning, Captain," her navigator shouted. "We can't maintain a stable lock." Before Chen could respond, concentrated Deltan fire tore through the Dauntless's weakened shields. The bridge erupted in a shower of sparks as systems overloaded. The battle raged for hours, a desperate struggle of attrition. Human ships fought valiantly, but without their teleportation advantage, they found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. One by one, the proud vessels of Earth's fleet fell silent. On Earth, Marcus Wright stood before a panel of grim-faced military leaders. "I have irrefutable evidence," he declared, voice steady despite his racing heart. "Admiral Kendrick has been feeding classified intel to the Deltans for years." The room erupted in chaos as security forces moved to apprehend the shocked admiral. Marcus watched, a hollow victory in his chest. He had completed his mission, but at what cost? The faces of his Deltan friends, those he had betrayed, flashed through his mind. As Wright retreated to his quarters, struggling to process years of deception, Zasha of the Korvax pored over ancient star charts in her dimly lit sanctum. Her eyes widened as she deciphered a series of cryptic coordinates. "The keystone," she breathed. "It's real." Unbeknownst to Zasha, Deltan long-range sensors detected an anomalous energy signature emanating from the same uncharted world. General Yaris, fresh from his victory at Proxima Centauri, redirected a task force to investigate. The race for the artifact had begun. In a stark Deltan detention cell, Frank Williams huddled in the corner, shivering despite the oppressive heat. His captors had subjected him to relentless questioning, but he refused to divulge the deepest secrets of his teleportation breakthrough. As exhaustion finally claimed him, Frank's dreams were plagued by strange visions, shimmering energy fields spanning galaxies, impossibly ancient mechanisms manipulating the very fabric of space-time. At the center of it all, a pulsing crystalline structure called to him. Frank jolted awake, gasping. The cell door hissed open, revealing General Yaris's imposing form. "We're not finished, human," the Deltan growled. "You will tell us everything." But as Frank met the alien's gaze, a newfound grit burned within him. The key to unraveling the mysteries of teleportation, and perhaps the fate of the stars itself, lay beyond the stars, waiting to be discovered. Frank Williams' eyes snapped open, his knees going weak from the latest onslaught of visions. The stark Deltan cell dissolved around him, replaced by shimmering energy fields and impossible geometries. He gasped, overwhelmed by the cosmic truths flooding his consciousness. The cell door hissed open. General Yaris loomed in the entrance, mandibles clicking ominously. "Your resilience is admirable, human," Yaris growled, "but futile. You will break." Frank met the Deltan's gaze, a newfound strength burning within him. "You have no idea what's really at stake," he said softly. Light years away, on the uncharted world of Nestrox, Zasha of the Korvax crouched behind a crumbling stone pillar. Energy bolts sizzled past, scorching the ancient ruins around her. Her strike team lay scattered, many already fallen to the surprise Deltan assault. "Secure the artifact!" she shouted into her comm unit, her voice nearly drowned out by the din of battle. "We cannot let it fall into their hands." Zasha's fingers danced across the control panel of an arcane Korvax device. The air before her shimmered and tore, a localized wormhole crackling into existence. She lunged forward, intent on reaching the keystone. In that instant, Frank's fragmented visions coalesced into crystal clarity. The full weight of cosmic truth slammed into his mind. He saw it all, the extra-dimensional realm, the transcendent beings, the true nature of the keystone. Frank's eyes flew open, blazing with otherworldly power. The Deltan prison's security systems flickered and died. General Yaris stumbled back, mandibles slack with shock. "What are you?" the Deltan whispered. Frank didn't answer. Reality warped around him, and he vanished. On Nestrox, the air crackled with ozone. Frank materialized in the heart of the battlefield, cosmic energies radiating from his form. Deltan and Korvax forces alike froze, weapons half raised. Zasha's eyes widened. "The human," she breathed. "How?" Frank raised his hand, and the very fabric of space-time buckled. The combatants were thrown back, pinned by invisible forces. The ground beneath their feet trembled. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Frank's voice boomed, echoing with otherworldly resonance. "The keystone isn't a weapon or a power source. It's the linchpin of existence itself." In orbit, human and Deltan fleets erupted from hyperspace, responding to frantic distress calls. Among them was the ship carrying Marcus Wright, racing to confront his old friend and the unimaginable power he now wielded. On the planet's surface, Frank's cosmic awareness expanded. He felt the approach of the fleets, sensed the fear and willpower radiating from friend and foe alike. The weight of infinite possibility pressed down upon him. In that moment, suspended between mortal limitation and godlike omniscience, Frank Williams faced a choice that would shape the destiny of galaxies.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.